Do you like budgeting? In most budgeting software or apps, you set up categories of expenses. Now, sometimes I get a little carried away and I make too many categories. So then I have to go back and take a look at what can be combined into a larger category so that it's easier to manage. Now, I find I need to use a similar approach for time budgeting my week. There are always little things that need to be done here and there, responding to emails, filing, transferring data, etc. The problem with doing them just as they come to mind is that it interrupts our other work. And we could be focused on making progress with a project or giving someone our full attention in a meeting, but instead we're taking care of all of these little things a little bit at a time. It's like that budget where you have too many little categories. So the best way to handle these little tasks, and everybody has little tasks to do, is just part of life, part of work. The best way to handle them is to put them together, to batch them in a time slot. So in previous videos, we've talked about batching similar tasks and projects. But let's take a really close look now at the types of small tasks that we can batch to get more out of our weekly time budget. We're going to look at 5 types of small tasks that can be batched for the sake of your weekly time budget. There are many others, but we're just going to look at 5 in this video. The first is email. Now, I avoid giving out my cell phone number except to family and close friends because my work as a translator and reviser requires large blocks of concentrating time. And I'm not addicted to social media. I check Facebook when I'm waiting for someone or I'm in a lineup. But I'll have to confess, I may be addicted to email. It's my preferred way of communication. I like it because I can read and send messages at a time that's convenient for me. And the other person can read and reply at a time that's convenient for them. It's not like a text message that just is in your face and interrupting you. But I have to force myself to not constantly check my email because sometimes I might get one email that causes me to feel pressured to derail my plan for the day and do what someone else thinks should be my priority. Whereas if I'd waited and read it later, I could have done what I knew was my real priority first before I read their email. So it's better for me to just check email at certain times of the day. And I'm working towards checking it in the morning, at noon, and at the end of my workday. I'm not there yet, but it's my goal. And any reduction in the number of times I check my email is beneficial. In that way, I can focus only on email and quickly go through it instead of trying to do it in between other things. If it requires information, I can give it quickly and give it right then. If it's something that can be solved by a Google search, I try to nicely suggest that they could search it for themselves. I am not their Google search engine. So if it's something, though, that I need to think about, I'll give myself 24 hours to reply. And some people put this in their email signature so that the people they're in contact with regularly know that they might not reply for 24 hours. Doesn't mean that they've forgotten about them or that they're going to ignore them. It just means that that's their timeline. Now, sometimes we could just send a quick reply to say that we need to look into it further or gather some information or think about it some more, and we will get back to them at a certain time. But at least reply. It's really frustrating when you send something important to somebody, especially a project that was due and they were waiting for, and they don't acknowledge it. You're left scratching your head wondering, did they actually get it? Should I send it again? And then you have to follow up. That is just solved if the person receiving it sends you a quick one-line email to say, got it, thanks. It's just a common courtesy that I hope will become more common. Now, with email, when I'm going through it quickly, there are some things I just quickly move into my folder called Orders and Coupons. It's a sale, but I don't need it right now. I might want to look at it later. Just get it out of my inbox. I also set up automatic rules, so when you sign up sometimes at a store to get a discount, they'll start emailing you every day. Yes, really? I'm going to buy window blinds every single day of my life? No, I don't need an email every day. So I just set up an automatic rule. I don't even see it. it goes into my orders and coupons folder without me ever seeing it. And if someday I decide I need more window blinds, I can go look in that folder and find a coupon or an ad. And then also another thing that I do is once a week I try to go through my other email. So my email provider divides things into focused email and other. So other is generally things that are coming from a mailing list, unless I have chosen that I want it to always go in my focus, so I have that option. But once a week I try to go through that other email just so there's not something really important falling through the cracks. The second type of small task that you can batch easily is filing. Now, if you've been successful at going paperless, I applaud you. It is a goal of mine, but I'm not sure when it will happen. I like paper, but it accumulates. It's kind of like my desk is a magnet for post-it notes and ideas and things that I print. But it's so much easier to work and to focus if your desk is clear. You feel more in control of your time and you're able to concentrate. So there's a simple solution to the filing dilemma. Just have an office tray on your desk and label it filing. Then you can build this into your shutdown routine at the end of the day or week to clear out that tray and to put things where they belong. Now I like to use a filing cabinet with hanging files and folders, but the important thing is that you know where to find it when you need it. And if you can do all of this in a paperless way, if all your filing system is digital, bravo. These tips are for those of us who are not quite there yet. The third type of task that you can batch is actually task planning. Now, if you wait until you finish one task or project to decide what you're going to do next, you're going to lose a lot of time in deciding and transitioning between tasks. It's better to batch your task planning. And I think this is best done on a weekly basis, that you have a weekly time budget. And we have several videos about this. So decide what needs to be done this week, how much you can realistically accomplish by actually budgeting your time. And then you decide which day and which time of day you're going to do each thing. Now, of course, not every week will go according to plan. In fact, you might never have a perfect week, but if you take the time to plan your tasks and you put the highest priority things first in the week, then if something unexpected happens, at least the high priority things got done. And you won't waste time throughout each day trying to figure out what you should do next. The fourth type of task that you can easily batch is communications. So things like posting on Facebook, YouTube, etc. for your work, that's really easy to schedule ahead. And it's much more efficient if you do it in batches. So you can batch the preparation of the posts to save transition time between different types of tasks. You can also schedule emails to go out at the time you choose. And just remember to file them later after they're sent. So that works for things like MailChimp, Kit, those other software programs where you can send emails out to your subscribers, for example. But it also works for your personal email. You are working on something and for some reason you don't want the person to get the message yet, maybe because they're working on another project, you don't want to send them down another rabbit trail. But you can schedule it to go, say, tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the options. And that way you don't have to come back to it later and type the email when you are sort of working on something else and you've forgotten about it. It's better to do it at the time when the information is fresh in your mind and just set it to go later. Now, apparently you can even post-date text messages. I haven't tried this feature yet, but it is possible. And on a wider scale, you could schedule bank transfers, bill payments. Now, you might think, oh, it's only going to save me a few minutes. It's not worth it. I'll just do it as I think of it. But a few minutes, say 15 minutes, that's a quarter of an hour. 4 of those is an hour, and an hour is valuable. If you were walking down the sidewalk and you saw a quarter, would you pick it up? Maybe not. But what if you saw a quarter every few feet? Would you start picking up those quarters? Saving little bits of time here and there is like picking up quarters. It adds up, and it is worth it. The fifth type of task that is easily batched is data transfer. Now this is kind of a broad category that can include a lot of different things, so I'm just going to mention a few. We're talking about items of data that need to be put in their proper place so they can be found later. But you don't have to do it as you go, unless it's really urgent. What you can do is set up a time at the end of the day or the end of the week to do it. So these could be things like notes that you've jotted down. You could deal with them all at once and transfer them to where they need to be. Maybe on a to-do list, on a calendar as an appointment, on a project plan, on an idea list. And then there are things like sales tracking, for example. If you have a sheet where you can just jot it down quickly, or you have a way to easily find the information later, then you can deal with it in one batch to save time at the end of the day or the end of the week. And then another type of data transfer is time tracking. And we are going to be talking more about time tracking in the next series. In my customized day planner, I write down what I worked on throughout the day, the role or the project, a little description of what I did, and how long it took. This data is crucial for my time budget so that I could stay on track with my goal for the number of project hours each week. That's how I meet my deadlines early. But if I transfer that data each time I complete a task throughout the day, that's not very efficient. But I don't want to forget to do it. So I just added a column in my planner to check it off when I've transferred it. So at the end of the day, I'll just transfer what I got finished, my time tracking, to my weekly time budget tracker. And that way I can tell at a glance if I'm on track for the day and for the week. Now there are many other types of data transfer that you could batch to save time. So in this video we've looked at 5 types of small tasks that can be batched for the sake of your weekly time budget, and there are many others. But what we've looked at today is email, filing, task planning, communications, and data transfer. So I have a question for you. What type of small task would time batching make more efficient for you? Feel free to comment below. What type of small task would time batching make more efficient for you? Now be sure to get your free weekly time budget worksheet by clicking the link below in the comments. And stay tuned for our next series about time tracking. Time tracking is the secret ingredient, the key to succeeding at time budgeting and being more productive.